Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us. Before we start formally, please let me just read out some housekeeping rules. During the seminar, please make sure that your microphone is muted. If you'd like to raise a question, please use the chat box to send it through to us rather than raising it verbally. To do so, all you need to do is type it in the chat box, sending it to sending it to question box by selecting that particular person rather than the secretariat or facilitator. Please also make sure to note when you send your question to whom it's directed to. Please also note that Q&A for Fintech companies, the Fintech companies that are presenting today, will be conducted at the end of the event rather than at the end of each company's pitch. And so during this Q&A and also during the networking session following the Q&A session, the audience members will have an opportunity to ask questions and also exchange contacts with speakers and other attendees, which will occur from 5 p.m. Please also note that as you know, all attendees can see other people's names in the participants feature in Zoom. If you would prefer not to show your name, please change it before we begin the webinar. However, we do ask if possible that you do, if not showing your name, then just noting your company name as your profile name, so that others know who is attending. Thank you. We're just waiting for a few more people to arrive, so we'll start a little bit behind schedule, but please bear with us. Thank you. Okay, thank you for your patience, everyone. We will now formally begin today's session. So welcome to the third FinCity.Tokyo Global Networking event for 2021. My name's Lance Trong and I'll be your facilitator for this event. Today's webinar will focus particularly on FinTech. So we will have a presentation by a major Japanese financial institution, followed by a series of pitches by pre-selected foreign fintech companies to an audience of Japanese financial institutions. Then a brief introduction to upcoming programs from FCT will be given, followed by Q&A and a networking session. Again, just to go through housekeeping matters very quickly, please ensure that during the session your microphone is muted. Please use the chat box to raise questions by sending it to the participant question box. Please also make sure in your question to note who it is directed to. Again, note that Q&A for our pitching fintech companies will be conducted at the end of today's event. But you'll also have an opportunity during our networking session after 5 p.m. to ask questions and exchange contacts with our speakers and also other attendees. Again, if you would prefer not to have your name shown during the event, you can change it in your profile settings. But if possible, we please ask that you either show your name or the company that you belong to so that others can know who is attending. Finally, to our keynote session, we would like to welcome Mr. Kenichi Saito from MUFG Bank. Mr. Saito is the Managing Director and Head of the New Business Development Department, Digital Strategy Office, Digital Service Planning Division, and he will give a keynote speech today about the digital transformation strategy of MUFG and expectations for startups. Thank you, Mr. Saito.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Thank you, Mr. Saito.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone, or good morning or good evening, depending on where you are. Hi, my name is Kenichi Saito. leading the digital transformation activities, especially together with startup companies in MUFG DX office. Today, I'm very much honored to present our digital transformation activity or DX strategy of MUFG to startup companies that are interested in expanding your business in Japanese market. And also, I really appreciate FinCity.Tokyo to give this opportunity to me. Today, I want to explain by using this presentation material. So some of you may already know that this is the overview of MUFG, especially from the global network perspectives. MUFG is the largest banking group in Japan and deploying global networks. Next page, please. We see many global financial institutions trying to accelerate DX initiatives because we have observed substantial change in consumers' behavior, typically described as remote and contactless as a result of COVID-19 outbreak. And when we look at various initiatives that global financial institutions are driving, I noticed some key trends that can be categorized as process improvement, online mobile shift, collaboration with digital platforms, and data-driven financial services. And with these initiatives, every bank is trying to reduce its legacy cost and at the same time try to find new business models that can replace old ones. These are the examples of DX initiatives recently developed and launched. Many of them are targeting customers in Japan and also Southeast Asia. As we have limited time today, I'd like to touch on some of our DX initiatives that are in line with 4 categories of key trends I mentioned earlier in the previous page. One of the anti-DX issues that we face in Japan is that we still have huge amount of papers in the bank. A typical example is the hanko or chop and the signature paper sheet of our customers. These documents are attached to application form of bank account opening. In case a customer dies and the inheritance process starts, we from time to time need to find original paper documents to verify hanko and the associated customers' information. And then lots of manual operation happen in our bank. So to solve this long-standing issue, we deployed ripcode technology and decided to scan all the hanko sheets with its super scanning machine. We found this startup company during I was in Bay Area in the US. We also apply a number of robotic process automation or RPA to various kinds of banking operations. Upper side of this page shows one of the examples where corresponding banks send us thousands of SWIFT messages every day for the purpose of charging fees arising out of customer transactions. After introducing RPA along with a business process management tool called Pega, most of the manual processes are automated and led to significant time and cost reduction. Now, this kind of so-called business process re-engineering or BPR projects leveraging digital tools such as RPA, AI, or OCR are taking place in various kinds of operations in our financial group. MUFG Bank also experienced a rapid increase in the number of internet banking users during COVID-19 outbreak. So we came up with new personal financial management app called Meibo to better meet customers' needs in addition to existing internet banking tool. Meibo is a coined word coming from money and able, with which our customers can take a look at the account balance of all different banks and the usage of credit cards, debit cards, or e-money all at the same time in the app. Furthermore, a customer can easily open MUFG's bank account and transfer money within this app. Okay, next page is regarding our strategic collaboration with digital platformers. I'd like to briefly explain our business alliance with Grab in Southeast Asia as an example. As you may know, Grab is the largest ride-hailing and food delivery service provider in Southeast Asia, who is dramatically expanding its business in 8 countries. In the center of its service, there is Grab Super App that enables more than 200 million users to get access to Grab's various services in the region. MUFG decided to get into capital and the business alliance with Grab and invested approximately $700 million and became the largest investor as a financial institution. And even during the difficult time due to COVID, both our group banks, Krungsri in Thailand, Bank of Danamon in Indonesia, and Grab managed to come up with jointly developed products such as loan to driver or loan to merchant. And also considering that the big tech players are penetrating financial services in all aspects, MUFG also has to make the most of digital technology to remain competitive in this market, especially for the data analysis, using various kinds of alternative data to bring traditional financial services to the next level will be significantly important for future growth. And today I cannot share and introduce these projects one by one, but data-driven lending services or EFX platforms are launched recently. And also in December last year, we successfully embarked on brand new type of AI-based lending called Mars Growth Capital, which is a unique lending fund for growing startups in Southeast Asia. So let me explain this project a bit more detail in the following page. MUFG announced to establish brand new lending fund of $80 million together with Israel-based startup Liquidity Capital. Even under the global economic turmoil caused by pandemic, we still observe a lot of startups rapidly growing in the area of e-commerce or remote medical care or education technology like EdTech and so on. And our idea is to provide alternative debt finance to startups by connecting API with their internal system. By doing so, we can obtain daily cash flow, accounting, or invoice data with which we can constantly enhance our AI algorithm to effectively provide working capital to startups. So actually, the fund has received many applications for finance from various startups in Southeast, especially from Southeast Asia, very immediately after launched this fund. Okay, next page. You may now understand the importance of our alliance with technology startups that can help MUFG to make progress in digital transformation. For the purpose of enhancing open innovation by building good relationship with startups across the globe, we set up a global innovation team in Silicon Valley, New York, Singapore, and London in the past 6 years. And I was in Silicon Valley for 5 years from 2015 and led some business alliances and also investments. Okay, and the next page, this page shows our program called MUFG Digital Accelerator to foster startups that have been provided for 5 years in a row. Around 31 startups were selected as finalists and keep discussing about the business together with these startups and also MUFG. And we are very welcome to have foreign startups also joining this program. The schedule of next one is still not decided yet, but hopefully it will start from next year spring. So when we could announce, please consider about this event. Also, furthermore, to help promising startups with funds to grow, we established a corporate venture capital called MUIP, Mitsubishi UFJ Innovation Partners, back in January 2019, and recently invested around 17 to 20 startups. Okay. And this is the last page of my presentation regarding MUFG's DX strategy. And I'd like to share with you our expectation for startups. I really hope to promote digital transformation from 3 different perspectives, especially together with you. So one is the improvement. So improvement based on existing business models and the process. The next one is reform, reform by a change in business models and processes. Also, third one is the disruption, so like disruptive innovations. So I'm looking forward to discussing a lot with you, and thank you very much for listening my presentation. And I hope to have some collaboration or business opportunity with you. That'll be great. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Saito, for your very interesting overview to MUFG's efforts in digital transformation. We'll now move on to a Q&A session with Mr. Saito. If you have any questions, please send them to the question box participant through the chat box. Unfortunately, due to other commitments, Mr. Saito will be unable to join the networking session at the end of today's seminar, but he's kindly agreed to provide written answers to any remaining questions, which we will send to all participants by email. So Saito-san, to our first question, what are the key factors for foreign fintech companies to smoothly run their businesses with Japanese financial institutions?
Okay. Oh, thank you for the question. I think a key success factor is different, depends on your solution or collaboration way. But first of all, please try to find a key person who has a high motivation and a passion in Japanese financial institutions who want to co-work with you. And also, if you, I think you need to hire an appropriate local person who can manage your local business in Japan. And for doing so, I think please keep trying to join some events like today's FinCity.Tokyo's events, and keep expanding your network and also improving your company's reputation. I think it's not so easy and takes time, but I think through these today's activities, in some way, I think you can break through your business in Japanese market. And also, if I could add one more advice, it's not so easy to understand the local Japanese market needs or customer needs and the following on the Japanese culture sometimes. So in such case, another way is to try to consider the collaboration alliance with Japanese system integrators. So if you could find such a great advisor or alliance partner, I think, so Japanese financial institutions also have strong relationship with Japanese, so system integrators. So I think if you could find such an alliance, that might become more smooth to expand your business in Japan. So yeah, if you could get some more advice from FinCity Tokyo or I can, anytime discuss and talk with you.
Thank you for that,
Sure.
Saito-san. Our second question, what are the strengths or unique factors which foreign fintech companies can demonstrate compared to their Japanese fintech counterparts?
Great question. Strengths or uniqueness. So in Japan also, now more and more Japanese startups are emerging, comparing to around 5 years ago. And I also respect such Japanese startups also. But if I could explain about the difference, one is the speed to utilize, so new emerging tech is much faster, I think, comparing to the Japanese startups. And also, growing speed of startups is also faster because I think more like a sophisticated venture capital firms support your business proactively and a very efficient way, especially from my experience in the US. So also maybe more engineering resources are there in foreign startups comparing to Japanese startups. I think that's the uniqueness. On the other hand, as I mentioned you, so Japanese startups are good at, so localizing and providing services in Japan because they are mainly focusing on Japanese market. So to compete or to collaborate and expand your business in Japan, as I mentioned you, so please consider your marketing strategy in Japan proactively, and also consider what is the best way for you to make an alliance and also collaborate together with your partners in Japan. Yeah, that's my answer. So I hope it is helpful for you.
Thank you, Saito-san. I'm sure your advice is very helpful for our participants today. As mentioned, any questions that were sent through that we didn't have time to answer, we'll follow up in writing to all participants after the event. We'd now like to move on to our pitches from the 7 selected fintech companies. Each company will have 5 minutes to present their pitch. For our first speaker, we have Rosalie Steenkamer, who's the co-founder and CCO of AdviceRobo B.V. Thank you, Rosalie.
Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for your time to be at this event and hear about our pitches. I'll share my screen. Okay, is this okay?
Yes, thank you, Rosalie.
Okay, thank you. I'm Rosalie Steenkamer, CCO and co-founder of AdviceRobo. And what we do is what Mr. Kaito already said is to promote data-driven financial services. In Europe, we are an alternative data platform that unlocks customer behavior and attitudes because we want to drive financial inclusion and financial security for the next generations. And our purpose is to be able to give people the chance, the next generations and small businesses, to help them supporting digital access to and usage of fair, affordable finance. And if we talk about financial inclusion, because everybody might have a different definition, financial inclusion is, in our view, has 2 directions. First of all, the responsible access to financial services. And we all know that many people in the world don't get access to finance because they're underbanked or unbanked. And you can think about next generations just coming from university, don't have any financial data available yet, so they don't have fair access to finance, but also like women, people with a small income, migrants, startup businesses, etc. But secondly, For us, financial inclusion is also helping people to use responsibly financial services, to help them to make ends meet, to protect them in a financial way, and to help them with financial planning. Because getting access to a banking account or to a credit is good and fine, but you also need to understand how to deal with it. And we think that banks and financial institutions can play a large role over here. If you look at the Japanese situation, there are, of course, the trend that MUFG already mentioned is that there's a lot of growth and there's a lot of change in behavior due to the pandemic. But also we see an aging population. And for banks, it's important not to only take care of the aging population, but also of the next generations. And that's what we see, that there is difficult access for certain target groups, like people with a small income, self-employed people, and startup companies, which are growing in Japan. Well, these are some stats. That's not, I think, too interesting for now. And what we do is, our solution is that you should integrate traditional and alternative customer data and apply that to have AI monitoring and activation of customer behavior. So we think that indeed the data-driven financial service is very important by using traditional data and alternative data and applying new technologies like artificial intelligence to offer services and to monitor people and also to make the service more personalized. And our solution is that we have developed a behavioral next generation customer intelligence and activation platform. What you see here at the bottom of the AdviceRobo alternative data engine are products we currently have. So we have what we call JAC, alternative data collection, which is available in 13 languages, including Japanese, because we already worked with some Japanese companies. We have CreditRobo, which is specifically driving psychometric profiling and scoring, which is completely regulator compliant, GDPR compliant, and we already converted 2 million scores. And we have CatRobo, which is grabbing the opportunity for open banking profiling and scoring. With these products, banks can do the following, which is on the top of the engine. First of all, to make their acquisition more efficient and to grow their onboarding. By using the alternative data, banks are able to target and accept customers they could not before because they use new and alternative data, and people they would reject because their data is invalid or incomplete or not available. They will be able, with our additional alternative data, to make a good credit assessment and accept those customers who have a fair risk level. But secondly, the other part is also very important to use those data to in the marketing strategy of a company. For example, to reduce the churn of customers. Because if you know customers better because of your alternative data, you can predict where they will churn, and you can also help them, or you can prevent the churn be happening. So we are applying it for acquisition, but also during the life cycle for churn, for example, and in the end also, might they churn or might they default, that you are able to collect them in an efficient way.
Rosalie, we're just coming up to 5 minutes now.
Oh,
just to let you
so
know.
then I'll go very quickly. The core of our service is a psychometric profiling, which will score people between 0 and 1,000 and will prove whether they are credit-worthy or not. This is specifically for new applicants, like millennials, for example, or migrants. And secondly, or lastly, why would you choose for AdviceRobo? We have a 7-year track record with applying credit solutions. We are a European market leader in this field. We developed it with leading universities and banks. This specific research also in Japan. We have very accurate credit models for unscorable people with a Gini of 0.6. We did 2 million scores. We are available in Japanese and 12 other languages. And it's a very light touch API integration. And we do have currently customers across Europe and Asia. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Rosalie. Moving to our next speaker, we have Rati Ashish, who is the head of Eltropy Japan. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll just share my screen. Please let me know once you can see my screen.
Yes, we can see it. Thank you, Ashish.
Okay, so thanks a lot for giving us a chance to talk about our company. We are headquartered in the Silicon Valley, and we were founded in 2013. The founder, CEO Ashish Garg, he's an alumni from the prestigious Wharton School of Business. In Japan, we established our Japanese entity in 2019. I'm the VP of Sales. My name is Rathi. And like Saito-san said, you can clearly see I'm not Japanese. So we have a VP of Sales, Daisaku Ikeda, who's a Japanese national based in Tokyo. What we actually do is we enable financial institutions to digitally engage and communicate with the customer in a secure and compliant manner using multiple communication channels which we have on our platform in a single platform. Like Saito-san was talking earlier, COVID has actually changed a lot of things. And one of them is the way people are communicating with each other. Digital communication today is more and more multi-channel. For example, Zoom, which had about 10 million daily participants at the end of 2019, is currently reporting about 300 million daily participants. And while this transition is actually happening in the world, most financial institutions are still using a lot of those earlier channels, high touch and high cost channels like branches and call center. And some of the reasons why they are not able to make this transitions very easily and smoothly is because of compliance and security, regulatory. Most of them are very, very highly regulated. They have a lot of legacy systems, integration into which is very, very difficult, or it's not an easy thing to do. And they have very complex and manual workflows. As Eltropy, what we have been able to do is we have been able to create a digital communication layer between the customers and the financial institutions. What financial institutions can do very easily with Eltropy is to adopt digital communication channels and any of the multiple digital communication channels that we provide very easily across any of the departments, maybe for branches or lending, collections, call center. Any of these departments can easily adopt digital communication. In Japan, we have 2 large customers, and across the US, we have more than 230 financial institutions which trust us. We are actually, our customers are our investors also, which is a great testimony of the kind of trust that they place in us. And we also have K1 Capital, which is a large PE fund based in the US as our investor. By combining multiple communication channels and sales enablement in one single application on one single platform, what Eltropy has been successfully able to do is enhance the customer engagement and provide a much higher efficiency for not only sales, but multiple processes and multiple departments across the financial institutions. And like Saito-san also talked about the kind of things that financial institutions really care about is improve customer experience, increase their revenues, and in these times reduce cost. And Eltropy has successfully been able to do this with a large number of customers. In terms of use cases, Eltropy, as I said earlier also, we can be used across different departments for different use cases, whether it's for marketing, whether it is for the contact center, collections, lending, sales. Across the board, different departments and different use cases, Eltropy is being used by our customers. For example, one of the key modes of communication today is text messaging or short messaging. And our customers are using Eltropy every day, using the Eltropy and the text messaging platform that we provide in their retail branches across for their lending processes, for their collection processes. For example, in the collection processes, they are sending reminder. They are doing delinquency resolution also through text messaging. What I'll do is I'll talk in a little depth about the sales use case. A typical salesperson would start his day with a list of prospects, and he doesn't really know how to prioritize them. Who should he call first? This leads to investing a lot of time in calling prospects, facing a lot of rejections, and maybe unhealthy conversations.
Ashish, just to let you know, we've come up to 5 minutes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. So what Eltropy can actually do is, help the salesperson set up a campaign. Each of these prospects will show up in an individual conversation, and with the analytics screen, he can actually converse with these customers in a multi-channel capability. Our customers like Nise is using Eltropy. More than 50,000 salespeople are using Eltropy to do the sales enablement use case, which I just talked about. Same with Fukoku Live. We have a very successful customers in ICICI Bank, where more than we saw an increment in 300% in conversion. And across different departments, we've actually seen a lot of really high metrics once the financial institutions started using Eltropy. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ashish. Next up, we have Eduardo Chun, who's the Director of Fund Relations for FundPark Limited. Thank you, Eduardo.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. Thank you for putting this event together. Thank you, NY, and thank you, Saito for the insightful presentation. A lot to cover today, so I'll jump right in. So FundPark is a Hong Kong-based fintech platform. We provide our clients with working capital financing solutions, and our clients are SMEs and e-commerce merchants. Our claim to fame is that we use technology, data, and our risk models to provide very flexible, customized solutions to our clients, and at the same time, we use the data to manage risk in a more forward-looking way. Once we develop or deploy a solution, we take each transaction and turn it into a funding opportunity for our funding partners. And these funding partners include commercial banks, asset management companies, credit funds, money market funds, and so forth. And our assets have short tenors, very strong credit quality, and above market returns, all with a low correlation to other asset classes. Here's some of our milestones. The key points to note are that we are constantly innovating, so we launch new products over time, and we also have gotten some vindication of our business model through equity investments over time. We have also gotten market recognition through various awards over time. And so why SMEs? Why e-commerce merchants? In other words, what is the equation we're trying to solve? And if you look at the top left-hand corner, you see that the e-commerce sector has been booming over time and is expected to continue to do so. But on the left-hand side, you see that a lot of SMEs are underserved to the tune of over $5 trillion as of 2019. And a lot of these merchants are e-commerce merchants or traditional businesses that are transitioning to e-commerce sales channels. And that transition has accelerated with the onset of the COVID pandemic. Some of the reasons why the sector has been underserved include regulatory burden for banks, small average ticket size, as well as lack of information. But we feel that if we can solve these problems in a very efficient manner, that sector is actually quite attractive. So how are we solving this equation? So if you talk about working capital financing, there are a number of solutions you can offer. You can offer receivables financing, supply chain financing, inventory financing, and we have all these solutions. But truth be told, you don't need a lot of financial technology to develop or to deploy or offer these solutions. So the question becomes, is there something more? Is there something better? Well, our trade asset-based financing structure is a good example of that. This is deployed in an e-commerce environment where we connect ourselves to the logistics company and the e-commerce platform through API connectivity and download thousands or millions of data points to run through our risk assessment models, and also to do risk monitoring in a more forward-looking way than traditional credit analysis. And we also take the inventory in the warehouse, as well as the receivables from the e-commerce platform as collateral for a revolving credit facility, which is easy to use. The merchant can draw at any time, repay at any time within 90 days, and we don't take your house as collateral. We instead look at the cash flow and the underlying trade to mitigate risk. And we have other solutions. Unfortunately, we don't have time to go through all of them. And here's some of the reasons why clients come to us. Our credit approval is fast, forward-looking. We have right-time data, all the time data to do credit assessment rather than looking only at your financial statements. And again, we don't ask for your house as collateral. If you're a funder in our program, there are two ways for you to participate in the economics of our deals. One is through our assignment model. And the key point here is that all the cash flow flows through a trustee, which is a globally recognized name. Or you can participate through our securitization model, which will be launching in the next few weeks. We are happy to announce that we have received a term sheet from a global investment bank, which is really, among other things, a vindication of our business model.
Eduardo, just to let you know, thank you.
Yeah, thank you for listening. If you'd like to hear more, please get in touch.
Thank you so much, Eduardo. Next up, we have Russell E. Perry, who's the co-founder and CEO of Kompany with a small K. Thank you, Russell.
Hello, everybody. My name is Russell Perry. Thank you very much for the opportunity today to give you a little bit of an overview of Kompany. Thank you, Mr. Saito, for the keynote speech and the introduction to MUFG. No further ado, let me go into detail on what Kompany does, Kompany with a K. So we are a RegTech platform, and we're focusing on KYB, that is Know Your Business, and entity verification and the people behind. Our services are used for anti-money laundering compliance around the world because we have been able to establish a real-time network that allows us to verify companies in real time in more than 200 jurisdictions today. That means and translates to about 115 million companies where we're able to identify the company, the entity, the people behind the company, and in many jurisdictions also the ultimate beneficial owner. And we've over the past years we've built a real-time register network, so the infrastructure connecting to commercial registers, financial authorities, and tax authorities. And this is relevant because when we're talking about anti-money laundering, it's all about the data. Which data is used to verify entities? And there's a very easy check, which is the audit proof check, which means that information has to come from a primary source, a recognized government source. It has to be timestamped. That means it always has to be fresh, but you also have to record the timestamp. In addition to that, the data must be provided to our clients unchanged. That means the data integrity has to be guaranteed and it must be a true copy. And we've done this over the past few years, as I mentioned, and have added an application stack on top, which provides real-time search engines, which provides an application layer, but also an analytics layer to extract data that might be hidden in PDFs, in company filings, etc., to help our clients fulfill their KYB and anti-money laundering obligations. And let me make it a little bit more tangible. So the difference is the data, right? The data, as I said, has to be audit proof. And with our coverage of 200 countries and jurisdictions, translating to 150 million private companies, we're able to provide a very, very comprehensive coverage across the globe. And we've also made the data and the accessibility very, very easy, right? So we have not only mapped the data sets, but we've also baselined it to make it interoperable across all jurisdictions. So there's only one interface, one data set structure. So our clients can integrate that into CRM systems, compliance systems, banking as a service platforms, et cetera, et cetera. And it is 100% primary source. That means recognized by the regulators across the globe. And there's two ways to access company services today. One is via API. So we have a very powerful RESTful API. It's one API for access to our entire suite of services, features, and a register network. And for some of the back offices in large financial institutions, insurance companies, or other obliged or anti-money laundering obliged companies, there's also a web portal for instant provisioning. That means with our KYC workspace, that's the name of the service, the back offices or the KYC desks can be set up instantly. And if you look at the entire process and the portfolio services that we have and where they are used, primarily, of course, in B2B onboarding or corporate client onboarding. So it could be SME services, or it can also be corporate investment banking services, where the verification of the entities, the B2B onboarding, is required under the law, including the original documents. And also, Eduardo, just maybe adding on as a use case, if we look at trade finance, for example, here's where we can also help with AML compliance by embedding our services, for example, in networks like that. And hello, Eduardo. If we look at payment networks and merchant acquirers, they have the same problem, right? The merchants that are trying to set up the payment services, etc., need to be identified. They need to be identified as quickly as possible because time is money, and the quicker the onboarding happens, the shorter the time is to first revenues of the merchant acquirers. We also have features like UBO discovery, so ultimate beneficial owner. Who are the shareholders? Who has influence on the company? So we have built a system combining RPA, so robotic process automation, and machine learning to also extract shareholder information from company filings, from ultimate beneficial owner registers in many jurisdictions. And what's also important, of course, is ongoing monitoring. Is there a change in the company? Is there a new managing director? Has the address changed? So with a continuous monitoring, our clients always know what the status is of their clients. And the benefits are very clear. So we typically are able to reduce the onboarding of clients by about 90%. So from 6 weeks, sometimes even to within the hour. We're also able to help our clients improve their anti-money laundering compliance. Considering some of the fines, if you look at N26, a very large European neobank, they have been fined 100,000 euros per incident of failing their AML obligations, right? And with our API, we're also now embedding our services into payment networks, into payment platforms by utilizing DLT, and of course with ISO 20022 compliance, compatibility, sorry.
Russell, just to let you know, we've come up to 5 minutes.
I will hurry up. Thank you very much. Big plans for Japan. We were able to welcome Global Brain, Japanese CVC, as our investor and shareholder last year. We've upgraded our license with the Ministry of Economy, Trade and Industry, and we are now planning our expansion into Asian region with an office either in Singapore or Tokyo. And you know about the anti-money laundering problems, $1 trillion problem. And this is where my team, an international team, we speak nearly 25 languages. We're located here in Austria. It's very diverse. and we service our clients, as I mentioned, across 4 continents. And maybe just to point out, we also work together with Entity Data, obviously a BPO for the financial industry, and currently we service 130 enterprise and corporate clients. Thank you very much, and sorry for running over the time limit.
No problem at all. Thank you very much, Russell. Next up, we were due to have a speaker from Privé Technologies who hasn't joined us quite yet. So instead, we will move on to Connor Doyle, who's head of pre-sales at Quantifeed. Thank you.
So yeah, over the next 5 minutes, let me introduce Quantifeed. My name, first of all, is Connor Doyle. I'm based in Hong Kong, but I lived in Japan for 25 years, so I can get by with Japanese. And my colleague on the line also, Hirose Kazumasa, who's based in Japan. And we're ready to take Japanese questions in Japanese afterward if anybody wishes to do so. So let me kick off by explaining who is Quantifeed. So Quantifeed is a company which is focused on digital wealth technology, and we focus on the B2B segment, so providing wealth technology platforms to financial institutions. Excuse me. We serve a number of different clients across the initial first-time investors, the emerging affluent segment, through to mass affluent and the high net worth private banking space. So we are providing platforms across all of those investor types. So we're supporting those through the technology itself and the branding, we call it, is Q Engine. And this is a cohesive platform which is built on a modern, open, API first, microservices enabled architecture, which can be seamlessly integrated into the technology systems landscape of a financial institution. That's what we've been doing for the past 8 years. If we look at our customers, we're very proud of the success that we've been able to bring to our customers across these different range of financial institutions, ranging from banks, securities houses, IFA platform providers, insurance companies, and those are covering different market segments and on a wealth management landscape, going from the retail to the premium and, as I said, high net worth private banking. So we've grown our customers. We've been in business for 8 years, headquartered in Hong Kong, but we have staff located across Asia, Hong Kong, Singapore, Australia, Japan, India. We partner also with some leading financing institutions, Franklin Templeton, which is also an investor in Quantifeed. So we're able to provide not just the technology, but the associated asset management and other capabilities to bring more added value solutions to our customers. Some case studies. We start with a couple here, 3 cases here. DBS Singapore, Mitsubishi UFJ Morgan Stanley in Japan, and China CITIC Bank here in Hong Kong. So this supporting desktop, mobile, and tablet platforms and channels, and with what we call risk, goal, and theme-based investment journey styles to suit the different types of investors. We've also, through these experiences, worked with many of the regulatory entities across Asia. So we have a lot of experience in how to overcome all of the regulatory constraints involved in providing these robo-advisory solutions to customers. And also varying degrees of engagement where customers have used us to either implement the whole technology end to end, or in some cases where we've integrated where the customer builds their own front ends and we provide the under the hood capabilities to power those front ends. Another case here, which is more on the advisory space. So this is a customer in Thailand, Kiatnakin Patra. one of the leading high net worth private banking focused businesses in Thailand. They were able to use QEngine to enable an end-to-end STP, including online to offline workflow for their customers, portfolio managers, and their advisors. So covering all of those aspects. And through this to be able to efficiently scale up their business and reach to an audience at a much lower AUM point than they would have been able to do in their traditional, highly manual business model. And this one was also provided on a cloud basis. So another strength of the Quantifeed QEngine offering is that we're able to provide either on-premise enterprise, where the software is installed at the financial institution. We can provide our own cloud services, or we can do a hybrid, as was the case with CITIC, where they're able to avail of the efficiencies of using a cloud platform, but also being able to maintain the PII, customer information on-site, to be able to meet the regulatory requirements.
Just to let you know, I've come up to 5 minutes.
Okay, so I'll finish quickly. So this is giving you an idea of some of the way we package our solutions, and I'll skip through to give you an idea just in this slide of how the QEngine capability fits within the financial institution. And key to this is the API-driven, API-first architecture, RESTful APIs that help us integrate both on the front end and the back end to the various systems within the financial institution. And here again is another slide that you can look at your leisure later on. And if you have any questions, happy to answer them in the Q&A session later. Thank you.
Thank you, Connor. Next up, we'd like to move to Milind Agarwal, who's the founder and CEO of Quickwork Technologies. Thank you, Milind.
Thank you. Can I request enablement of my screen sharing, please?
Yes, that should be fine.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. My name is Dr. Milind Agarwal. I'm going to speak about my new service in Japan, Quickwork Fintech as a Service for Japan. This is me. We are located at Mumbai in India. And we have built a platform, a real-time enterprise-grade iPaaS, which we have customized for Japan. And that's why we call it Quickwork Fintech as a Service. And the user interface is already ready in Japanese. We were also lucky to win our preliminary round in the FinSum Japan competition in 2021. We have hundreds of fintechs from all over the world using our platform already. And they choose us because of our 3 key capabilities: a journey builder, a no-code API builder, and a conversation manager. These are the 3 key tools we believe any fintech would need to succeed in whatever they are trying to build or offer as a service. Journey builder, you can do integrations and automation with any workflow with 1,000 plus business, consumer, AI, BI, analytics, messaging, and IoT apps, which are pre-integrated on a platform. It's like a Lego game. You can choose any app, any set of apps, and build a workflow as per your needs. A no-code API builder, you can make any workflow and convert it into an API in a single click, and you can share it with your partners securely with zero anxiety. A conversation manager, we being a real-time enterprise-grade platform, our platform talks to all messengers out there, whether public or private, and also talks to human agents and IoT devices. What makes us different? We are real-time. It's easy to make simple and complex workflows on our platform, and we are secure and compliant. And in terms of Japan, we have acquired one customer, early customer from India, which is Azukar Asset Management, and we built a line messenger. We have integrated line messenger with their internal information systems, and they are able to query the system securely using the public messenger like line. And in terms of attraction, we have users in 130 countries, connectors with 1,000 plus apps, and we have done about 1 billion transactions in the last year. And in Japan, we have started acquiring some early users as we speak. Now I'm going to go back to my earlier slide and show you a video in Japanese. It's a 2-minute video, so I hope I'll make it in time. New share. Is my screen visible now?
Yes, it is. Thank you.
Thank you.
中国などの国々が主導し、英国が続く世界中の金融エコシステムのデジタル変革が始まりました。日本が東京を世界のフィンテックハブにしたいと考えているので、規制当局、銀行、金融機関、フィンテック、顧客を相互に接続して、信頼性が高く、準拠した革新的なデジタル製品とサービスを迅速に共同で作成する必要があります。この目標を達成するためには、金融企業はパブリック及びプライベートの IT インフラストラクチャをリアルタイムで統合する方法が必要です。しかし、システムの統合は引き続き課題となっています。IT 及びビジネスの専門家の大規模なチームは、プロセスがビジネス目標にマップ、実装及び調整されていることを確認する必要があります。クイックワークファーは、この切実で複雑な問題に対処するためのフィンテックの基盤となるインフラを提供します。クイックワークファーは、統合、API、会話管理の3つの主要機能を備えたリアルタイムでコードレスなエンタープライズグレードのインフラサービスを提供し、フィンテック企業の接続、コラボレーション、専門的なサービスの提供を高速で実行できるようにします。一つ目の統合機能には、ビジネス、ERP、CRM、LMS、HRMS、コンプライアンス、イキック、メッセージング、人工知能、アナリティクスなど、金融、非金融分野の1000種類以上のアプリケーションやシステムがあらかじめ接続されています。2つ目の API 管理機能により、企業は API を安全に構築して公開できるため、金融エコシステムのビジネス構成要素が他のシステムと効果的に接続できるようになります。第3の機能である会話管理により、フィンテックは様々なメッセージングプラットフォーム間で金融取引をリアルタイムで提供し、顧客は複数の言語で人間のエージェントやチャットボットと対話することができます。クイックワークファーは、クラウド、オンプレミス、ハイブリッド、および組み込みサービスとして、準拠、スケーラブル、安全な方法で提供されています。クイックワークファー、フィンテックのための本当の技術。
Well, thank you. That's it from my side. Please reach out to me for any questions or anything you may need. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Milind. Finally, we'd like to move to David Lee, who's the president of Privé Technologies. Thank you, David.
Yeah, so we're Privé Technologies, headquartered in Hong Kong. And I'll just briefly walk you through about our technology, give you a brief introduction, and about the services that we provide. So before we begin into any problem statements or introduction of Privé Technologies, I want you to think about how Lego blocks are like. So I'm pretty sure everyone has played with Lego blocks when they were in their childhood. And just like Lego blocks, the same idea applies to Privé system. You can build tree, you can build flowers, you can build whatever you want with Lego blocks. And just like that, in Privé, what we provide is we provide this little Lego blocks of wealth management solutions so that our enterprise client can use it in a very hyper-personalized, hyper-customizable way. So currently, from back ago, wealth management was not something that was approachable to everyone. First problem was that personalized banking was very expensive. And the second problem was that most people were not investing their assets professionally. And third biggest problem was that digital banking transformation seemed to be very risky, and especially in terms of in the culture in Japan, I'm very familiar because I'm also Korean. I know that still a lot of things are very in a traditional way instead of digitalized way. So these are the problems that we have found in the wealth management industry. And we were thinking of how can we make the wealth management cannot into can for everyone. So to solve this problem, we created a module just like jigsaw puzzles. And as you can see on the left, these are sort of like the Lego block idea that we provide to our enterprise clients. So we have more than 30 plus modules that are pre-built, which allows twice faster deployment for the enterprise client. And second, we're a cloud-based solution, which means that we have very low cost and we have very easily scalable system due to the cloud deployment. And the third point, it ties back to the first point, which is how we provide many different modules, is that it's very customizable. So if there's only one out of 30 modules that you want to use, you can definitely do that. And if there's 20 out of 30, you can also do that as well, which means it's very hyper customized and it's also very hyper personalized as well. With this idea, we have currently been serving over 55 enterprise clients worldwide. And we also have a lot of patents, and we have around 30K plus advisors that use our platform. And to show you our global presence, we currently have 7 offices and 16 countries with live clients. The latest offices that we have actually opened up this week is actually in South Korea, Seoul. And this also ties back to one of our biggest achievement in South Korea is that we recently signed one of the deal with the largest financial institution in Korea as well. So we try to show the stronger APAC presence as much as we can. And with this idea, it has been proven that our technologies do provide a good wealth management solution. Starting from way back ago, like 5 years ago up to now, there are awards that we have been receiving, which means that our technologies are being acknowledged as well. So this is our management and the team. And as you can see, Charles and Julian, they were both in JP Morgan, and they're the co-founders of the Privé Technologies, and David Lee, who is also in this Zoom, he's the president of Privé Technologies as well. Yeah, so moving on to our Series A funding, it was Credit Suisse and Samsung that were leading our Series A funding. We have recently closed Series B funding as well, which we will announce, which we plan to announce next month through PR. But yeah, we do have a lot of very strong strategic investors that support Privé because they believe in the potential that we provide. And this is a bank-in-a-box solution that we provide. And as you can see, we have a lot of different modules. However, they're all very interconnected with each other. So it's not just one that you can use and you cannot use the other. You can basically use however you want, as much as you want. And that's one of the biggest core advantage that Privé provides. So with this, everything involved, our ultimate goal is to create this Privé flywheel, which connects to the idea that Uber actually had, which is creating a virtual cycle. So we believe that if we have better client engagement, it's only going to create more word of mouth, which has been happening in Privé, which will just attract more clients and provide wider product offering. And it's just going to go on like a very positive cycle. And with this whole idea, we ultimately plan to aim to create Privé just like a platform where, you know, when you look for a taxi, you go for an Uber, because Uber is a platform for taxi. So we try to create this idea into a wealth management and asset management industry. And that's what we do. And yeah, thank you for listening to our previous introduction about Privé. And please let us know if you have any questions in the breakout room. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz. And thank you to all of our fintech companies today for their very interesting and informative pitches. Let me now very quickly just go through an introduction to upcoming programs. In terms of seminars for this year, we have a final seminar on November 25th for asset management companies. We will forward more details regarding this event by email to all participants today. This slide outlines the monthly newsletter publishing schedule for FinCity.Tokyo for the remainder of this financial year, which is also accessible via the QR code in the right-hand corner. On this slide, you can see details about newsletters published last financial year. And finally, here we see details in terms of FinCity.Tokyo's website and also their SNS details. In terms of contact details for today's speakers, these will be provided to all participants who complete the survey for today's event. So once the event is finished and you exit the event, a survey will automatically pop up. So we kindly ask you to take a few minutes to fill that in so you can get those the material from today's event and also help us improve future events. Unfortunately, due to time constraints, what we'll do is skip our Q&A session for today. So please save your questions for the networking session, which we will go into very, very shortly. Before we do so, please allow me to very quickly introduce Business Development Center Tokyo. This is an organization established by Tokyo Metropolitan Government, and it supports foreign companies looking to establish operations in Tokyo by providing free consultation support, including for things like license registration and application for Tokyo government subsidies. They also provide English language support, and they will have their own dedicated room during our networking session. So please feel free to ask them any questions. We now like to move on to our networking session,